The terrace smelled like gardenias and champagne. Celeste Morrison did not raise her voice when the bride pointed toward the service entrance. Didn't let her smile falter when Madison's hand, manicured, diamond-heavy, gestured dismissively toward the kitchen. "Staff needs to use the back," Madison said. Not unkindly, just matter of fact. The way you'd redirect a lost delivery driver. Celeste stood in her navy dress, the one she'd pressed that morning, the one with the modest neckline and three-quarter sleeves, and looked at the woman her boy was about to marry. No trembling lip, no clenched fists, just stillness, heavier than rage. "I see," Celeste said quietly. Behind Madison, the wedding coordinator hovered, clipboard clutched like a shield. The venue, a sprawling estate in Connecticut, all limestone and ivy, buzzed with final preparations. String quartet tuning. Floors to jesting centerpieces that cost more than Celeste's monthly mortgage. Madison's expression shifted. "Uncertain now. I'm sorry, I thought. Aren't you with the catering team?" Celeste studied her. This woman who'd been in her home exactly twice. Who'd smiled politely over holiday dinners, but never asked questions. Never wondered why Marcus called Celeste every Sunday. Why her photograph sat on his desk. "No," Celeste said. "I'm not." And she turned toward the main entrance. "Wait," Madison's voice climbed. "I didn't mean, if you're a guest, I apologize, I just..." But Celeste had already walked away. 4 days earlier the phone call had come while Celeste was kneading dough. Saturday morning in her Silver Spring kitchen, NPR on low, her hands working through focaccia the way they had for 40 years. Muscle memory. Meditation. "Ms. Morrison? This is Claire from Atelier Events." Celeste wiped flour on her apron. "Yes. We're coordinating the Whitmore-Chen wedding next weekend. I'm calling to confirm your attendance and meal preference." Celeste had paused. Whitmore. Marcus's last name. The one he'd grown up with, though it had never belonged to Celeste. "I RSVP'd months ago," she said carefully. "Right, yes. I see that. But there's been some confusion about seating. The bride's family is wondering if you'd prefer to sit with other staff. Or if you have a guest you're bringing. It's just, your name isn't on the family list, and we're trying to finalize arrangements." Celeste set down the dough, covered it with a cloth. "What name am I listed under?" A pause. Papers shuffling. "Morrison, Celeste. Under. It says, family friend. Family friend. 23 years. That's what it said." "I'll call Marcus," Celeste said. "Oh, that's not necessary. I'll call Marcus," she repeated. Gently, firmly. She hung up. Then she stood at her kitchen window, looking out at the small yard where she'd taught a 7-year-old boy to plant tomatoes. Where he'd done homework at her table. Where he'd cried after his mother, Celeste's employer, the woman who'd hired her as a housekeeper, had forgotten his birthday for the 3rd year running. Where he'd asked, at 17, if he could call her mom. Not to anyone else. Just between us. Celeste had said yes. She'd raised him. Not on paper. Not in any legal sense. But in every way that mattered. She picked up her phone and called. Marcus answered on the second ring. "Celeste, I was just thinking about you. Did you get the venue address?" "I did." She kept her voice light. "Question though, where am I sitting?" "What? At the wedding. Where's my seat?" A pause. "Too long." I made sure you were included." "What?" The coordinator called. "Asked if I wanted to sit with staff." Silence. Then, "That's a mistake. Madison's family is handling some of the arrangements. I'll fix it. Marcus." She said his name the way she used to when he was young and avoiding truth. "Does she know?" "No one. Who I am to you." Another pause. Longer. "She knows you're important to me." "That's not what I asked." She heard him exhale. "It's complicated. Her family is very traditional. Old money. They have certain expectations about who sits where." "Celeste, it's fine, baby. I understand." "No, it's not fine. I'll talk to her. I'll make sure." "Marcus." Her voice softened. "I love you. I'll be there. We'll figure it out." She hung up before he could apologize again. Then she went back to her dough and kneaded until her hands stopped shaking. The morning of the wedding, Celeste woke at 5. She showered. Styled her hair, silver now, cut short and elegant. Applied minimal makeup. Put on the navy dress she'd chosen carefully. Expensive enough to belong, simple enough not to draw attention. She looked at herself in the mirror. 61 years old. A lifetime of making herself small in rooms that didn't want her. But not today. Today she would stand in the front row if that's where Marcus needed her. She drove to Connecticut in her 10-year-old Honda, GPS guiding her through towns that got progressively wider and wealthier, until she reached gates that opened onto a private road lined with oaks. The estate unfolded like something from a film. Tents billowing white on the lawn. Valet attendants in matching vests. Celeste parked and walked toward the main house. That's when Madison saw her, crossing the terrace in her navy dress. No name tag, no uniform, and made an assumption. Staff needs to use the back. Now Celeste stood in the grand foyer, beneath a chandelier that cost more than her car, and waited. For what? She wasn't sure. Behind her, she heard Madison's heels clicking faster. "Excuse me, miss. I really am sorry. I didn't realize." The coordinator appeared, breathless. "Ms. Morrison, there's been a misunderstanding." And then a voice, sharp with command, cut through the noise. "Celeste." She turned. Marcus stood at the top of the curved staircase in his tuxedo, face stricken, already descending. Madison froze. "Marcus!" There was confusion about. He reached Celeste and took both her hands. "Are you okay?" His eyes searched hers. "I'm fine, baby." She didn't. He turned to Madison. "What happened?" Madison's face had gone pale. "I thought she was with catering." "I didn't know." "She raised me," Marcus said. The words landed like stones in water. Silence rippled outward. Madison stared. "What?" Marcus didn't let go of Celeste's hands. "This," he said, voice shaking, "is my mother." Madison's champagne flute slipped. She caught it. Barely. But the moment hung there. Crystal trembling, color draining from her face, the coordinator backing away slowly like someone who'd stumbled into a live grenade. "You're..." Madison's voice came out thin. "I don't understand." Marcus still held Celeste's hands. His grip was tight. Lifeline tight. "Celeste Morrison," he said. "She's been in my life since I was 7. She raised me, clothed me, fed me, taught me how to be a decent human being. She's my mother in every way that matters." Celeste gently extracted her hands. "Marcus, we don't need to." "Yes," he said. "We do." He turned back to Madison. "I told you about her. I've told you 100 times." "You said..." Madison's eyes darted between them. "You said Celeste was like family. That she worked for your parents. I thought that she was the help." The words cut clean. Madison flinched. "That's not... I didn't mean..." "You told her to use the service entrance." "I made a mistake. I'm sorry." Madison's voice climbed. "How was I supposed to know? You never said she was. That she'd be..." "Marcus, your mother lives in Boston. Your family is..." "My family," Marcus said quietly, "is standing right here." Celeste touched his shoulder. "Baby, not today. It's your wedding day." "That's exactly why today." His jaw tightened. "Celeste, you deserve to be here. Front row. Family section. No asterisks." Madison's face crumpled. "Marcus, please. I didn't know. If you'd just told me." "I did tell you." His voice stayed level. Surgical. "I told you she raised me. That I spent more time in her house than my own. That she was the person I called when I got into Yale. When I graduated. When I proposed to you. But you never said..." Madison stopped herself. "Never said what?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Never said the woman who raised me was black? Never clarified that my family friend wasn't safe to dismiss?" Celeste stepped forward. "Marcus, enough." "No." He didn't look away from Madison. "She needs to hear this. Not like this." Celeste's voice carried weight. The voice that had gotten him through algebra homework and heartbreak and every crisis in between. "You're angry. So am I. But destroying your marriage before it starts won't fix this." Madison's hands shook. "Celeste, I'm so sorry. Truly. I was thoughtless. I made assumptions. But I love Marcus. I would never intentionally." "Intentions don't erase impact," Celeste said softly. "You saw a black woman in a nice dress and assumed she didn't belong. That's worth examining." Tears streaked Madison's makeup. "I know. You're right. She looked at Marcus. "What do you want me to do?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Then, I want you to understand who she is. What she means to me. And I want her seated in the front row. With my family. Of course. Absolutely. And I want you to apologize. Really apologize." Madison turned to Celeste. "I'm sorry. I'm deeply, truly sorry. What I did was inexcusable. You deserve better. You deserve better." Celeste searched her face. Saw genuine remorse. Also saw the panic. The fear of losing Marcus. Of this moment defining her. Thank you, Celeste said. I accept your apology. Madison exhaled shakily. Thank you. I promise I'll do better. Madison. A woman's voice, sharp and imperious. What's going on here? A tall woman in coral silk swept onto the terrace. 60-something. Blonde. Dripping with pearls. Madison's mother. Mrs. Whitmorton took in the scene. Her daughter crying, Marcus rigid with anger, Celeste standing calmly in the center of it all. Mother, this is Celeste Morrison. I know who she is. Mrs. Whitmorton's smile was ice. Marcus mentioned you'd be attending. I trust someone showed you to the appropriate seating area? The air went cold. Marcus stepped forward. Mrs. Chun, Celeste will be seated in the family section. Front row. That's non-negotiable. The smile tightened. The front row is reserved for immediate family. I'm sure you understand. She is immediate family. Marcus. Dear, we have protocols. My side of the family alone takes up. Make room. Mrs. Whitmorton's expression hardened. This is my daughter's wedding. I've spent 18 months planning. Then you have 18 months of practice in making accommodations. Marcus's voice was steel. Celeste sits in the front row or I don't walk down that aisle. Silence. Madison went white. Marcus, you can't. Watch me. Mrs. Whitmorton's jaw clenched. You're being unreasonable. Over-seating arrangements. Over-respect. He didn't blink. Celeste Morrison raised me. My biological mother was too busy with charity galas and business trips. Celeste was the one who showed up, who stayed, who loved me when no one else did. So yes, she sits in the front row. Or you can explain to 200 guests why there's no groom. Celeste's chest tightened. Marcus, I mean it, Celeste. He turned to her. I should have done this from the start. Should have made it clear. You're not a footnote. You're not a guest. You're my mother. Her eyes stung. She'd never heard him say it out loud. Not to other people. Mrs. Whitmorton's face flushed. This is absurd. Madison, talk to him. Madison looked at her mother. Then at Marcus. Then, quietly, move the Hendersons back one row. Put Celeste front and center. Next to Marcus's father. Madison, do it, mother. Mrs. Whitmorton stared at her daughter. You're willing to disrupt the entire seating chart for the woman who raised the man I'm marrying. Yes. Something shifted in Madison's voice. Spine straightening. If Marcus says she's family, then she's family. End of discussion. Mrs. Whitmorton looked between them. Calculated. Lost. Fine, she said icily. I'll inform the coordinator. She swept away, heels clicking fury. Madison turned to Celeste. I meant what I said. I'm sorry, and I want to do better. If you're willing to teach me. Celeste studied this woman. This stranger who would soon be family. That, she said gently. I can do. Marcus exhaled. Released tension he'd been holding for years. Thank you, he said to both of them. Madison wiped her eyes. I need to fix my makeup. Celeste, will you? Will you help me? Celeste blinked. Help you? Get ready. I don't want to do this alone. It was an olive branch. Clumsy maybe, but real. Celeste nodded. Of course. 20 minutes later, Celeste stood in the bridal suite helping Madison repair tear-streaked foundation. Tilt your chin up, Celeste said softly, blending concealer. Madison obeyed. I really am sorry. I know. I grew up in a world where people like you were invisible. That's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And it's something I need to unlearn. Celeste met her eyes in the mirror. Then unlearn it. Madison nodded. Marcus loves you, Celeste said. But he loves me too. There's room for both. As long as you remember who I am. I won't forget again. Celeste finished the makeup. Step back. You look beautiful. Madison's lip trembled. Thank you. For this. For giving me a chance. We're family now, Celeste said simply. That's what family does. The ceremony was flawless. Celeste sat front row, center, beside Marcus's father, a kind man who squeezed her hand when Marcus's voice broke during his vows. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," the crowd erupted. And when Marcus turned, still holding Madison's hand, he found Celeste. The sun was setting over the estate when Celeste finally slipped away. Not leaving, just needing air. She walked the gardens, roses and peonies, stone pathways that wound through sculpted hedges, and found a bench overlooking the pond. She sat. Let the stillness settle. Mind if I join you? Celeste looked up. Madison stood there, wedding dress bustled, holding 2 glasses of champagne. It's your wedding, Celeste said. You can sit anywhere you want. Madison sat anyway. handed her a glass. They were quiet for a moment, watching swans glide across dark water. Marcus told me, Madison said finally, that you're the reason he became a lawyer. Celeste sipped her champagne. That's so. He said you worked 3 jobs to help pay for his SAT prep, that you drove him to every college tour, that when he got the Yale acceptance letter, you cried harder than he did. Celeste smiled. I did cry pretty hard. Why didn't you ever? Madison hesitated. Why didn't you adopt him? Legally, I mean. Celeste considered the question, one she'd asked herself 1,000 times. His mother wouldn't allow it, she said simply. And I didn't have the money to fight her. So I loved him the only way I could. Quietly. Consistently. Without recognition. That's not fair. No, Celeste agreed. But it's real. Madison turned to face her. I want to know you. Really know you. Not as the woman who raised Marcus. As Celeste. Why? Because you're going to be my children's grandmother someday. And I don't want them to grow up in the world I did, where people are invisible because of the color of their skin. Celeste studied her. Saw sincerity. Also saw the work ahead. Years of unlearning, relearning, stumbling. That's going to take time, Celeste said. I have time. And discomfort. I can handle discomfort. Celeste smiled. Then we'll figure it out together. Madison exhaled. Thank you for giving me another chance. Everyone deserves a second chance, Celeste said. As long as they use it. They sat in comfortable silence until Marcus appeared, loosened tie, looking for his bride. There you are, he said. They're about to cut the cake. Madison stood, extended her hand to Celeste. Come with us. Celeste took it. The cake cutting was chaotic and joyful. Frosting smeared on faces. Laughter ringing through the tent. Celeste stood to the side, watching Marcus glow with happiness. Mrs. Whitmorton approached. Celeste braced herself. Ms. Morrison, the older woman said stiffly. May I speak with you? Of course. They stepped away from the crowd. Mrs. Whitmorton's face was tight, controlled. I owe you an apology, she said. Celeste waited. I made assumptions. About who you were. What you meant to Marcus. That was wrong. Thank you for saying so. Mrs. Whitmorton nodded. I don't expect us to be friends. But for Madison's sake, for Marcus's, I'll treat you with the respect you deserve. It wasn't warm, but it was honest. I appreciate that, Celeste said. Mrs. Whitmorton turned to leave, then paused. He's lucky to have been raised by someone who loves him that much. And she walked away. Celeste stood alone for a moment. Then she smiled. The reception wound down near midnight. Guests departed in clusters, calling goodbyes, promising to visit. Celeste found Marcus near the valet stand, saying goodbye to college friends. Heading out? He asked when he saw her. Long drive back to Maryland. Stay? We booked extra rooms. I have church in the morning, baby. You know that. He hugged her. Held on longer than usual. Thank you, he whispered. For today. For everything. You don't have to thank me for loving you. I do, though. He pulled back, eyes damp. Because not everyone gets what we have. Not everyone gets a mother who shows up. Celeste cupped his face. You made it easy, Marcus. You were always easy to love. Even when I was 13 and impossible. She laughed. Even then. Madison joined them, leaning into Marcus's side. You're really leaving? She asked Celeste. I am. But I'll see you. Soon. Dinner next month? At our place. I'd like that. Madison hugged her. Quickly, impulsively. Thank you, she whispered. For raising him right. Celeste squeezed back. He did most of the work. The drive home was quiet. Celeste played Mahalia Jackson low and watched Connecticut give way to New York, then New Jersey, then Maryland. She thought about the day, the confrontation, the apologies. The moment Marcus had called her his mother in front of everyone. No more hiding. No more footnotes. Just truth. When she pulled into her driveway near 2 a.m., her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Made it home safe? She smiled. Just pulled in. Go enjoy your wedding night, baby. I love you, Ma. She stared at the words. Type back. I love you too. Always have. Always will. Sunday morning, Celeste woke early. She showered, dressed, and drove to the AME church where she'd worshipped for 30 years. Sister Janet grabbed her arm the moment she walked in. Girl, how was the wedding? Celeste smiled. It was beautiful. Did they treat you right? Celeste thought about Madison's tears. Mrs. Whitmorton's stiff apology. Marcus's hand in hers during the dance. They did, she said. In the end. After service, Pastor Collins pulled her aside. I heard about yesterday, he said gently. News traveled fast. Heard what? That you had to remind some folks who you are. Celeste shook her head. I didn't have to remind anyone. Marcus did that. Good man, that boy. The best. Pastor Collins smiled. You raised him well, Celeste. And don't let anybody make you forget that. I won't, she said. Monday afternoon, a delivery arrived. Flowers. 24 white roses. The card read, to the mother of the groom. Thank you for everything. With love and respect, Madison and Marcus. Celeste set them on her kitchen table. Beside them, she placed the framed photo from the wedding, the three of them together, Marcus in the middle, arms around both women. Family. Not perfect. Not without complication. But real. That evening, Celeste made herself dinner. Simple. Salmon and greens. She ate by the window, watching her neighbors come home from work. Her phone rang. Marcus. Hey, baby. Hey, Mom. His voice was light. Happy. Just calling to check in. I'm good. How's married life? Strange. Good. Madison's been talking about you all day. Oh, she wants to learn to cook. Asked if you'd teach her. Celeste smiled. I can do that. Also, we were thinking. Thanksgiving. Our place this year. If you want to host, we'll come to you. But we thought maybe it's time to start new traditions. Celeste's chest tightened. Good tight. I'd like that. Yeah. Yeah. They talked for 20 more minutes. About nothing. About everything. When they hung up, Celeste sat in the quiet. She thought about the little boy who'd cried in her kitchen over a forgotten birthday. The teenager who'd asked to call her mom, just between us. The man who'd stood on a terrace and claimed her in front of everyone. She'd spent 23 years being invisible. Being the help. The footnote. The woman who raised someone else's child without recognition. But she'd never been invisible to Marcus. And now, finally, the world could see what he'd always known. She was his mother. No asterisks. No apologies. Just love. Celeste finished her tea, washed her dishes, and settled into her favorite chair with a book. Outside, the neighborhood quieted. Lights flickering on in windows. Inside, Celeste Morrison, mother, not by birth but by every measure that mattered, allowed herself to rest. Unbothered. Unshaken. Exactly as she'd always been. Tomorrow would bring more work. More students to tutor at the community center. More calls from Marcus. Maybe dinner with Madison, teaching her to make the focaccia that Marcus loved. But tonight, she simply existed in the life she'd built. Not perfect, but hers. And that was enough.